Let me just start with your reaction to what we learned yesterday from the CBO. You're no stranger to looking at CBO scores. What stood out to you from the report yesterday?
Well, I think, David, what we learned is what people had thought about the American Health Care Act passed by the House Republicans. About 23 million people will lose coverage, and in spite of the protestations by House Republicans, the CBO says very clearly this does not protect people with pre-existing conditions. It does not. And I think that makes it a very difficult bill. It could not only cause millions and millions of people to lose coverage, but certainly older Americans, anybody with a pre-existing condition, anybody with a chronic condition, is going to be in really difficult shape under this bill. If they can get coverage, they may be priced out of the market, and some of them could be blocked out of the market altogether. Lower income folks will find their premiums going up because the subsidies are cut. And as I say, if you're older, the age tax is a 5-to-1 ratio. So somebody who's above 50 years old could get charged 5 times as much. And they're saying if you're older and lower income, it could be an 800% increase in the premium you're paying right now.
What do you say to Americans who see health insurers pulling out of marketplaces around the country and feel worried about the integrity or the future of the Affordable Care Act? What's your prescription for what needs to happen to get insurers to stay in those marketplaces or in some cases come back to them?
Well, I'm a believer that the current administration is actively sabotaging the marketplace and then throws up their hands every time a company announces withdrawal and appears to be surprised. They can do a couple of things immediately. They don't have to wait for Congress. They should make it clear that the subsidies in the law will be paid and continue to be paid. That's a big deal for insurance companies to follow the law. They should make it clear that the individual penalty charged to people who can afford to buy coverage, who refuse to participate, that penalty will be enforced by the IRS. Again, that's the law of the land, and this administration can make that clear. And third, they could use some of their bully pulpit power to talk to insurers, to convince people, particularly in some of those markets where there's not enough competition, to actually participate, look at the risk corridors, help state regulators move in that direction, instead of what really has been for the last 120 some odd days, an active sabotage of the existing market, which makes it very unclear what will happen to the 12.2 million Americans who currently have marketplace coverage.
We've seen all of this play out in a cauldron of politics. Healthcare reform play out in a cauldron of politics. Why is it so difficult, do you think? You're not in Washington full-time anymore. You spent a lot of time there, though. Why is it hard to have smart conversations about healthcare? Why does this become politicized and so entrenched in politics so quickly?
Well, it's been entrenched in politics since this debate began under President Obama. If you recall, there were Republicans who participated very actively in the 15 months of House and Senate hearings and lots of amendments, and then didn't vote for the bill. The day the president signed the Affordable Care Act into law, we were sued by 27 state attorneys general. Even when the Supreme Court found the law to be constitutional, politics continued to play out through the 2012 re-elect. I was really hopeful at that point it would be over. Then people would say, this is the law of the land, let's move on. But that has never happened. We've never had a Congress who participated in trying to fix the law, make it work better, but instead the House voted before President Trump 52 times to repeal the Affordable Care Act. So the politics of the last 120 days aren't a surprise. What I think is incredibly disappointing, though, is how cruel the replacement for the Affordable Care Act would be, how hard it would fall on people who desperately need health insurance and need some financial stability in their lives. And secondly, how actively this administration has worked to undermine the current marketplace, making it very difficult for any insurance company to file rates for 2018, to look at the existence of a marketplace, because they don't know what the rules are. Tell us what the rules are and they can make a decision. But that sabotage really undermines the possibility of people buying their own health insurance and following the law. And until the law is repealed, it is the law.